Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Planetarium show. My name is Jessica. I'm the director of the Planetarium, and with me tonight are three of our students who I will let say hi and introduce themselves. And we will start with Len.
Hi, I'm Len. I'm a physics and astronomy student here at UMD.
Hi, I'm Allie. I'm a biochemistry student here at UMD.
Hey, I'm Braden. I'm a music education major here at UMD.
I love hearing the diversity in what all you guys do. It's so awesome. And I like showing that it's not just, yes, physics and astronomy fits perfectly for the planetarium, but we love all kinds, and there's so much in astronomy. It's not just physics. Okay, so tonight is another edition of Ask an Astronomer. So we are here to answer your questions. So whatever those burning questions are, go ahead and put them down in the comments. We will answer them or attempt to answer them. We haven't been stumped yet. So maybe I've just issued a challenge. We'll see. And I know that we do already have one question that's come in from my mom. Hi, Mom. Who wants to know, well, first, she says happy 1 year anniversary to Percy and Ingenuity because it was yesterday. Yeah, it was yesterday, right? 1 year on Mars. And she's asking, what are they up to now? Which Allie was already kind of going to talk about tonight. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and turn it over to you and let you give the little spiel on Percy and Jenny that you had ready.
Yeah, I would love to. So as a biochemistry student, I am very interested in life in space, the potential of life in space. And what's really, really exciting right now in space news is so Perseverance has been on Mars for about a year now. It was a year yesterday, February 18th. It is expected to come back in 2031. So that's still a while ways away, but there are exciting things happening this year and there are awesome plans. So as you might know already, it is in the Jezero crater right now. And what is exciting is we think that that crater was maybe a lake. And with water comes the potential of life. And if there are other organic compounds, maybe the samples that Perseverance is collecting right now will show signs of ancient microbial life, which is technically aliens, which is super cool. So this year, maybe we will find out if aliens do exist. They're not big and green and glowing, but the fact that like even tiny little microscopic aliens might exist is super exciting. So we have that to look forward to in 2022. And I'm really crossing my fingers that maybe there are some tiny little aliens in the rocks in the Jezero crater.
It's going to be so cool. I'm very excited.
I'm excited too. Like, that is amazing that we are that close to discovering if there could have been ancient life on Mars. And what's also cool about that too is they think that some of the rocks show evidence that there were maybe some lava flow or some magma flow, which is just another great example that there could be organic compounds. And if you think about it, life on Earth started as microbial organisms living in water. So who knows? Maybe that existed once on Mars too.
It's very exciting. So this is for the samples they're planning on bringing back to Earth?
Yeah, according to space.com, it sounds like the samples that they are collecting, it sounds like they've successfully collected 5 rock samples right now, which is really great. And I am sure once those are brought back to Earth, we can really, we'll have an awesome like reference for, just the samples. And even aside from biology too, just looking at those samples could give us a lot of evidence into the history of Mars itself that we might not already know. So there's a lot of interesting information tied up with this, with geology and biology and the history of Mars.
And it's going to be a feat in and of itself. I mean, this will be the first time we've brought something back from Mars, which is crazy. But that lets us be able to look for those microorganism fossils that, I mean, the rovers, while they're amazing and fantastic and we've learned so much through them, they can't do the precise science that we can do in a laboratory. So being able to bring those back, it's going to be a huge accomplishment, and I'm very excited. Cool. All right. So I am not seeing any questions coming through yet. So if you have those questions, go ahead and put them in the comments. And we will I'll do my James Webb update. Because, I mean, if you've been at any of these streams, you know I'm going to give you an update on James Webb. It's going to happen. So I'm actually going to I'm going to share with you guys too. And then, yeah, everyone should be able to see this. Okay, cool. So if you didn't know, we have gotten the first pictures back from James Webb. James Webb has first light. It is currently staring at a star in the Big Dipper, I believe, or Ursa Major. I don't think it's in the Big Dipper. But it's staring at a star, and you can see that this first picture is chaotic, to say the least. This is a picture of a single star. Now, what's going on here is James Webb's mirror is actually made up of 18 segments. And because the mirror is so big, you remember in all of the other times I've talked about this, James Webb had to be folded up to fit inside the rocket. So now that it's unfolded, those mirrors aren't quite into the perfect alignment that they need to be. And so what this is showing us is the telescope is working. We're seeing light from the star, but all of those individual points of light, that's the light reflecting off of each of the segments of the mirror. And so it's just showing us that the segments aren't properly aligned yet, which is exactly what we expected. This is what we expected to get. Now, in the process of doing this, it also took a selfie of its primary mirror, which I think is just adorable, and I love it. And so you can see those individual segments. So this came out back last week, I believe it was February 11th. And then yesterday, they released a new image. You zoom in on this some. Which is still looking at that star, but you can tell that they have successfully moved those mirror segments so that they are arranged in the nice hexagonal shape that James Webb's mirror is in. So they've shown that they have moved the segments and know where they've moved to, and that's showing they have good control over positioning those individual segments. And this is exactly what we expected of the next step. So from here, they're going to continue to kind of fine-tune this. Then they're going to focus the image, because you can see that these don't look like nice little points of light. It's because the mirror is a little bit out of focus. And then once all of that's done, they will move the segments again so that all of these individual 18 points will center on the exact same location, and you'll get one complete image instead of 18 separate images. And that's going to happen over the next few months, and we are expecting to have it finished by, honestly, May or June at this point. And the first scientific results, scientific data should start downloading from James Webb at end of June into July. So everything is going fantastic, which I'm still in disbelief. I mean, I have spent my entire adult life and career just being like, any day now, James Webb is going to get up there, it's going to happen. Oh, look, it's been delayed again. And now it's actually up, and it's working, and I'm ecstatic. So there is my little James Webb update, because I have to. It's amazing. It's an amazing it's giant. It's an amazing giant telescope that origamied itself and is now flying in space around the sun, far away from the Earth. Science, engineering, it's crazy. All right, let me do another check. All right, well, I think people are just liking hearing from us. I'm not seeing any questions come through yet. So let's just keep going then. And Lynn or Brayden, either of you want to go next?
Sure, I'd love to share.
Cool, go for it.
So I recently read an article about a recent event in astronomy. The European Southern Observatory's Very Large Telescope has found another planet around Proxima Centauri, which is the closest star to our solar system. So they already found 2 other exoplanets around this star system. They found Proxima b, which is about the size of Earth, and it's within the habitable zone. And then they also found Proxima c, which is about 7 times as massive as Earth. But Proxima d, the one that they just found, is about 1/4 the mass of Earth, making it the least massive exoplanet to have ever been discovered, or at least one of them. I can't remember if it is like the smallest or if it's like almost the smallest.
That's the smallest exoplanet I've heard of.
Yeah, it's pretty small. And this planet orbits at only like 1/10 the distance that Mercury orbits around our sun, and it only takes 5 days to orbit around its star. So it's pretty crazy.
That's awesome. Yeah. You can't type in the comment. Sorry, we just got a comment coming through. I found I could not type in the comments when I was in full screen mode. Yeah, I think that is a feature in, at least if you're watching on like a phone or something. But hi, thanks for joining us. So back to exoplanets. So I'm assuming this one is further out than B and C.
No, I think it's actually
Is it closer?
Yeah, it's like it's like really, really close to its star.
Yeah, that would make sense. That's what makes sense. I know B was a little bit further out. It's still not Earth distance, since its star is cooler than ours. So it does sit closer than Earth does to our sun. But no, that's real good. I love the Proxima Centauri system, since that's the most likely candidate for humans getting to another planetary system. And I say that with lots of doubt because there's got to be a huge advance in space travel to even leave our solar system, let alone get to another star system. But that's very cool. Okay.
We got to get that sci-fi magic crystal that gets us to the like in Star Trek. I think it's like the lithium. You know, like
Oh,
that
yeah.
that 2 lithiums is really gonna get us to the to the next solar system.
Yeah, I don't think it's ever going to happen if we're trying to deal with speed. Because the problem is the faster you go, the more massive you are. It's one of those weird things in relativity. And the more massive you are, the harder it is to accelerate yourself even faster. And so you end up with this infinite problem of you keep getting more and more massive, which takes more and more energy, and to actually travel anywhere near light speed would actually require more energy than we have in the entire universe. So doing anything by just trying to travel fast is not going to happen, at least not if we want to do it in a single lifetime. There is still the chance that, we could just have generations of people live on a spaceship before finally getting to the destination, which sounds terrifying. And I don't know, is that fair to future generations to go on this trip knowing that your children and grandchildren and great grandchildren and so on and so forth are going to be confined to this spaceship for their entire lives? Like, I feel like there's a big ethical question there.
Isn't that?
I feel like a lot of ethics professors would have a field day with this question.
Isn't that kind of what happens in WALL-E?
Kind of.
Like just thinking about that made me think of the spaceship in WALL-E. And also like if you were to do that, that ship would have to be massive.
All of the resources that you would need.
Yes, and you'd have to make sure the only possible way is to make sure that all those are sustainable. You need to find a sustainable fuel source as well in order to continue. I mean, I guess if you just
Well, no, because in
Make
space
us more
there's
yeah, I
no
was gonna say
friction.
go space in space.
Yeah, once you get up to speed, you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, that's true.
But there are issues
Then
of how quickly you get up to speed.
or just like powering like stuff like life support systems and
Yeah.
stuff like that too. So
Yeah,
like
you would definitely need energy for that.
yeah, it would just be it'd be such a hassle.
I guess one idea that I would offer up is cryogenic freezing, but there are a lot of implications with that as well. I can't remember. Maybe it's the movie Passengers where they are like in some kind of like I don't know if it's like cryogenics or not. But I know that they are like trying to like travel somewhere and everyone is like in this sleep or some sort. Or even in like the movie Interstellar, I know that most people watching the live stream and you guys are probably familiar with Interstellar. If there was some way for you to like go into almost like a comatose until you would reach your destination. But I guess even like 10 years or even like 7 years would get you decently far. But I feel like that's probably a better idea if you're going somewhere in the solar system, not outside of the solar system.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I know that's a very common thing that sci-fi uses to try and get around this whole issue of space is very big and it takes time to travel. But yeah, I mean, it's a possibility. Um, I think I would be all of these I would be terrified to do. Like,
Yeah, like it's like the idea of being like cryogenically frozen or like being put on like comatose for like years is like completely terrifying. But like when like that moment you wake up, everything that you basically knew and loved is completely different at that point. Like
and you would be completely trusting in any sort of AI system to
I was gonna
keep
say,
you functional.
that's the other thing. I would only like the only way I'd feel like comfortable doing that, I guess, is if you had like a nursing like a group of people who are just nursing staff on this ship. It's like this one family that has to keep like reproducing to make more nursing staff. Like that's the only possible way I would feel comfortable with that, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
That
There's so many problems. Like when you really start digging into any sort of prolonged space travel, there's so
yeah,
many problems.
yeah.
On that same note, I would like to talk about my second article because it is also very prevalent to this conversation.
Yes,
Is
absolutely.
one big barrier that we would have to overcome that we recently found out is maybe a big barrier is how space affects the human brain. Um, I didn't really even think about this until I came across this article that describes this study that was conducted through collaborative efforts between the European Space Agency and Russia Space Agency. And they discovered after some experimentation, they had 7 what they call cosmonauts in space or maybe it was 5 for like 7 months. And they were studying their brain functions through MRI technology. And what was really interesting is they found that space affects the human brain more than we maybe initially thought it did. Not only does it affect it physically, as your brain will actually change shape. But one thing I found particularly interesting is that the part of your brain that controls locomotion or your motor, so like I'm moving my hands right now because my brain is sending off little fires telling me to move my hands, that actually changes, and it changes more than we thought it did. And I guess now that you think about that, that maybe makes sense because the way you move, especially in space, changes so much. And maybe that is a really good insight as to how our brains adapt, or maybe it's not even, this is me like hypothesizing here, but maybe it's not even space that's changing our brain, but it's our brains adapting to space. But either way, that could maybe be good, that could maybe be bad. But now this is another whole new field of study, which is why I love astrobiology, is because if we're going to go into space for a really long time, let's say to Lens exoplanet, we need to find out how that would really affect our brains.
Absolutely, which just opens up a whole other avenue of, oh yeah, what would we create artificial gravity in the spaceship for people? Because we already know prolonged exposure to zero G does some funky stuff to the body.
For the gravity thing, isn't there like a way to kind of simulate it if you like rotate a spaceship and use some yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is, I mean, I think if we're to the point that we're doing massive space travel, I would think we're to the point that we could easily do that. Um, but yeah, but then that also causes issues because, you know, if you have it, the whole thing rotating, depending on how close you are to the rotation axis, the acceleration you feel will be different. So you either have to have a ring structure so that it all is the same for everyone, or you have just different G environments depending on where you are. It's just there's so much. There's so much that goes into this.
Imagine climbing a ladder from one of the outer rings to one of the inner rings. That would be a nightmare.
No, thank you. So we did have a really good comment slash question about how they are actually working on either micro or nano probes pushed by laser light to travel out of our solar system and possibly get to these other stars and planetary systems, which is probably going to be how we get that data. Like, I doubt it's going to be humans going. It's going to be these tiny little mini satellites that we just propel out by light. And they can travel really fast because they're very, very tiny. So that was a really good point to bring up. And yeah, they are working on that. I know there's also a lot of work on a solar sail, which is basically like a sailboat, but it's pushed by sunlight because sunlight is photons. It's an actual particle. And so when it hits, it does give a little bit of a push. Now, it's not much. So you have to have a really big sail, and it has to be pushing a really, really light object for it to have any significant effect. But I mean, it's a real thing, and they're working on making that happen, which is also just kind of crazy. Sailing by sunlight.
That sounds like something that like would happen in a video game.
It does.
Like, I feel like that's like a like Mario like plot concept from a video game, which is really funny, but it's like really cool.
You know what? That is in Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. The notorious Count Dooku uses a solar glider in order to escape the alien planet of Geonosis. True facts. Eli's not here, so someone has to do the Star Wars
Someone has
reference.
to. You're right.
Yeah.
Are you taking over our Star Wars aficionado?
I definitely can. I literally have I have Lego Star Wars right on my desk. I have a lightsaber right here. Like I when it comes to Star Wars, I'm a complete geek.
I mean,
about
we
it.
gotta have someone because I don't
It's
know
only
it.
one.
I don't know it. I'm not a
It's
Star Wars fan. It breaks other people's hearts in this community, but I'm not a Star Wars fan.
It's okay. I know too much. I'm definitely can be that surrogate. I'm okay with that.
Good. You're
You
gonna
can
have
make
to.
up for the rest of us not knowing.
Good. We're gonna need someone to run that Star Wars show.
Yeah,
Which also just makes me sad. If anyone doesn't know, I'm sure anyone watching knows Eli. He's been in these streams for the past 2 years with me doing them. He's graduating at the end of this semester. It's very sad, but these are three of the wonderful people who have come on and will be the new phase of student planetarians. So we're excited. It's gonna be good. Let's see. Okay, so we got a good question. Is Europa the best possibility for finding existing life in our solar system? Yes, I think so.
That'd be so cool. Europa is so cool.
Yeah.
So cool.
I mean, it's a huge ocean underneath that icy crust. It's got twice as much water as we have here on Earth. In order for it to be an ocean, there have to be underwater thermal vents. And that's exactly where we think the first life developed on Earth. I think it's the best case. And that's why NASA and the European Space Agency, and I'm pretty sure a few others as well, are really pushing to explore Europa. We've got the Europa Clipper, which is supposed to be launched this decade, I'm pretty sure, which is more of a fact-finding mission, trying to get as much information as we can so that we can then plan a landing mission to land and explore the ocean and find little alien fishies. Which I swear, if this doesn't happen in my lifetime, I will come back and haunt someone so that I can see these results.
If
As you rightly should.
This is kind of unrelated, but kind of not. If you want something like that, there's a game called Barotrauma where you explore Europa in a submarine, and you go to different mining facilities, and you get to see aliens under Europa and stuff like that. It's a really, really fun game.
See, I thought at first you were bringing up the movie. Because there's a
No.
movie, I think it's Europa Mission, that it's supposed to be a semi horror movie of humans exploring Europa's ocean, and obviously it's horror, so something goes wrong. I haven't watched it yet.
I think an interesting thing to talk about is how if we found life, how it would be different than life on Earth. Because when you think about it, life on Earth now is so evolved and so complex and so diverse. And to think about all the different possibilities, how life could have evolved on another planet, it's definitely scary. Part of me would be very terrified, because I think the first thought in my brain would be what if it's a giant scary spider of some sort, or it's got what if it's scary and big and it's got I don't know, crazy. But I think that that's very cool that we could even just see how diversity would change on another planet and how conditions of other planets would affect how life evolves.
Honestly, what I hope to see is completely different brain structures and all that kind of stuff, because you know how octopi, they have a main brain, but then they have a brain in each one of their arms.
Yeah.
People say that they're the closest thing to an alien sentience that we have on our planet, and I feel like it'd be so cool if we discovered evolved enough aliens where
I
we
think
see stuff like that.
It's good to also temper expectations a little bit, because life on Earth, for most of the time that there was life on Earth, it was single-celled, simple life. Advanced, complex life is still relatively new to our planet. It took billions of years for that to evolve to even just somewhat complex. And I mean, we are brand new to this planet. We have been here blink of an eye, no time at all, compared to the lifetime of the planet, especially compared to how much time life has been here in general. So I think it's most likely we're going to find simple life, because that's what seems to be able to develop pretty easily. But I'm really interested in if we do find more complex life that could tell us that maybe it's not as difficult to develop as we think. Because, I mean, we have one data point. We have us, right? And it took 3.4 billion years or something to start getting. And I mean, we're only here because a freak impact killed the dinosaurs. I mean,
What if we like got to Europa and like the only fish that was there was like a blobfish, like a single blobfish, just one blobfish.
Something like
That's
sea
it.
monkeys too.
Yeah, like the most like, oh, it's like a seahorse. You're like, oh, that's it.
Honestly, I don't care. It'll be alien life.
Yeah, it's an
Um,
alien seahorse.
I
Exactly.
actually learned I learned something interesting from my biology professor who takes a group of students to the Bahamas each spring for a study abroad trip. I didn't know this, but there are actually NASA field researchers in the Bahamas, and they're studying life in the salty water. Because like the water, the salt content is so high, it's like insane how like these organisms are living in this like incredibly salty water, or even there are like NASA field biologists who are in like really, really hot places on Earth. And like it's kind of a mystery as to how these organisms are living because it's really hot or it's really, really salty. And I bet that there's a really, really good chance that, you know, life could exist like how it does on Earth in salty or really hot climates, like it does on other planets, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, extremophiles, which are what those things are, they completely changed what we thought life was. Because until then, until we really discovered those, we thought life had to have a very narrow, specific set of criteria. And then we find these things that just are like, whatever. I will live in the very, very cold, or the super hot, or the salty, or the acidic, or in the middle of freaking space. I mean, tardigrades have survived being out in the vacuum of space. Love tardigrades. And yeah, and that just opens up the possibilities. Honestly, it opens them up. I've loved this conversation tonight, guys. This has been great. Okay, I don't want Brayden to get left out. So, what did you have?
Okay. I'm gonna be frank. I didn't really have like a very like intense article like that these
You've
fellas
been busy
had,
with stuff.
but I did find something that's really fun. And I'll put it in the chat. It's a little thing on NASA's website that's just what did the Hubble Space Telescope see on your birthday? So you just put in your birthday, and then you can see when what picture was taken on your birthday. So like for me, I got like a little. Mine was like I think a. Let me select it one more time. It got deselected.
Okay, I've never actually. Okay, I was about to say, if they make me put in the full date, Hubble wasn't up when I was born.
No, it's just like month and day. I got like a galaxy cluster about 1689. That's cool.
That's very cool.
Yeah, it's fun.
And for those watching, he did put that in the Facebook comments, so you can go check that out for yourself and see. I'm checking mine right now. Ooh, I got the Veil Nebula, which I actually have a picture of painted on the walls in the planetarium. Super
that's
fitting.
a fun coincidence. Brayden, I got the same galaxy cluster as you.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Sweet. Twinsies.
All right. Well, we are right at about our half-hour time. So I have really enjoyed this. Hopefully everyone watching has enjoyed our kind of crazy conversation that we went to the ethics of space travel, what aliens are going to look like. It's been a really fun chat with you guys. So I will take one more call for any questions. Go ahead and put them in the comments. And while I give that a few minutes, let me tell you what's coming up over the next week. So on Wednesday, we're going to take everyone on a tour of the moons of the solar system and talk more about places like Europa. And it's not the only moon in our solar system that we think has the potential of having life there. So if you want to know more about that, come hang out with us Wednesday nights. And then on Saturday, we have the next edition in our exploration series where we are going to talk all about dwarf planets. And yes, this is just my excuse to spend half an hour talking about Pluto. I'm going to be honest. I love it and I want to talk about it. So that's what I'm doing. So yeah, those are our live streams coming up over the next week. I like our streaming. I like our streaming fam, our Facebook fam. Should I give them a little spoiler? Okay, so as we have announced, we are opening in March again for private shows and for K through 12 field trips. Those reservations are up and ready if your group wants to come in. What we haven't publicly announced yet is we are finally opening for some public shows in March. It's happening. It's been 2 years. We have some really awesome new stuff in the planetarium. It hasn't been fully publicly, like the dates and everything aren't out yet because we have a brand new online ticketing site that is getting its final polish. And as soon as that's ready, you guys are going to have all the dates and we're going to do it. We're opening back up for public shows. We will still keep streaming, so we'll still do one live stream on Facebook a week, and then we'll do public shows as well in the planetarium. So look out for that because that should be coming. That announcement should be coming any day now. So yeah, so excited. I couldn't keep it in anymore. I had to tell someone. And you guys are here, so you get the spoilers. Yeah. All right. I think we will wrap it up there. I'm not seeing any questions. So thank you everyone so much for joining us. Thank you, you three, for being here. This has been great. And I'm also just excited. I mean, this is the next phase of the planetarium right here. And it's really cool. We've got some great new students here to keep carrying on. All right, so again, thank you for joining us. We hope you have a wonderful rest of your weekend, and we will see you again next time. Bye, everyone.